Well, welcome to the Move with Confidence in 2020 Home Buyer webinar. I'm joined here with my team, Patrickteamproperties. We've got Jeffrey Patrick and Daryl Peterson, and our favorite lender there, Aaron Jacobson at First Home Mortgage.
Hello.
So tonight we're just going to walk you through the home buying process, the mortgage process, title, and closing. We want to answer all your questions. This is an opportunity for you just to get the gist of the process itself without feeling any kind of pressure, of course, to sign any kind of agreement or obligate yourself to anyone. Okay. Do you have any particular questions before we start?
Any initial questions, Brian?
No, we're good.
Wonderful. Well, Aaron, I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay, awesome. So thank you, Bevia. As she mentioned, my name is Aaron Jacobson. I am with First Home Mortgage. Loan officer, I would handle the financing side, very important mortgage side of the home buying process, answer all the payment questions, down payment, all that good stuff. So we're going to get right into it. Step one of your home buying process is one of the most important. It's getting pre-qualified, speaking to a lender, having the conversation, what you're qualified for, what different programs are available, what options you have. Really educating yourself on the money side of the home buying process is very, very important. So that's definitely going to be our step one. And what does that entail? So the big thing is going to be the 3 C's. We call that credit, capacity, and capital. In other words, credit, that's pretty self-explanatory. What is your credit score? Capacity is how much you can afford, what you qualify for. And then the capital is the cash. How much can you put down? How much can you bring to the closing table? And then one of the major differences you're going to hear is pre-qualification versus pre-approval. Pre-qualification is going to be verbal. So you and I have a conversation. We go through your 3 C's, your credit, capacity, and capital. And then at the end of the conversation, I say, congratulations, you're pre-qualified for X amount. And then we go over the next steps. The pre-approval is going to be taking that even further to, okay, you send me your income documentation, your bank statements, all that fun stuff. And I say, this is great. You're now pre-approved. You can make an offer on a house. And that's when things get fun. That's when you go out with Bevia and start shopping for a home and get you in that dream house. So that pre-qualification is a very important first step. And it's going to allow you to kind of get rolling on the whole process with confidence, so you know what you're qualified for, what you're not, and you're not out there, spending time on something that you're not qualified for. So step one, very, very important.
Step 2 is our buyer consultation. So we're going to be sitting down with you. We're going to go over the entire buying process. There's 7 steps, and we're going to go over the buyer agency agreement and what that entails.
All right. Okay, so with the buyer's agent agreement, this is the part that most buyers feel like, oh my God, I don't want to sign my life away. But however, there is nothing to be scared of. Entering into a buyer's agreement it has countless advantages. And it's free. So that's one of the positives. That's really one of the biggest positives, because the seller, the listing agent, it will basically be covering the fee for you. One of the good benefits is that your interest is going to be professionally represented, which there will be I, myself, you have Bevia, and also Mr. Jeffrey Patrick. One of us, we will most definitely guide you down the road, and you're going to be getting personal specialists who want to find out your every want and your every need and the buying process.
What is the lifetime or the duration of that buyer's agreement? Is that until a contract is reached with a property, or what's the extent of that?
It is something that is spoken upon between us, as well as you. We typically try to get it within a year time.
So yeah, it really depends on your search. So let's say if you're 3 to 6 months out, or if you're 3 months out to looking for your next home. But if you're somebody that's not ready to buy in the next year, then it'll be a year long. It's your journey, so we're here to define this a bit around your journey. This is all about you and your family.
Great.
So that agreement is really tailored to you, and most people are a little bit afraid of it, but there is a termination policy in there. So it's generally a 24 to 48 hour cancellation policy, and it really is no cost to you. It's about, and unfortunately, it is the Maryland law. We can't really show you property without having that agreement signed, and it costs you nothing.
Got it.
And if I could chime in too for a quick second, pretty much without the signature and the acceptance of a buyer agency agreement, we as real estate professionals would technically be representing the seller in all showings of properties and dealings with other properties. So when it comes to actually signing a buyer agency agreement, we no longer have to put the seller's interest first, and we would in return have a fiduciary duty strictly to you, the buyer, and we can discuss pricings, comparable sales, stuff like that, everything that would strictly benefit you as the buyer.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. So that's one of the biggest questions. So we wanted to get that out of the way. And we did just go over that in great detail in our buyer consultation. And we will also be emailing everybody the guide to buy in your home, which has it broken down so you fully understand it. We're an education team. We believe in guiding you through this process. So every step, we have it broken down in 7 steps. Of course, you'll meet with Aaron, determine what budget you need to buy your home, get yourself pre-approved and apply for that mortgage, whether you need a grant for closing cost. We know down to the number of what you need, because Aaron and I have like this very unique system. Whenever we're putting in a mortgage or an offer in, what your mortgage payment will be, how much closing costs you out. And we talk about that. We talk about your budget at this buyer consultation. Because remember, again, I always say it's your journey. And during this process, you're going to have an opportunity to interview us and our team to make sure we're the right fit for you. And then we're going to go over your needs. We're going to understand what kind of school systems you're looking for, number of bedrooms and baths, kitchens, what you're looking for in a home, what your style is, what your favorite rooms are, your wish list, your must-haves are. Once we define that, we're going to figure out how you like to be communicated with. And then we're going to go over the steps to make an offer. We're going to talk about that today, what closing looks like and what's going to happen next. We're always going to guide you through the next process. Any questions on the buyer consultation? All right, now we get to the fun part. I always think this is the fun part. The buyer consultation is the hard part, because we sit down and get to know you, your needs analysis. We go through the hard stuff, all the technical stuff. Fun part's actually looking at all these amazing homes.
Yeah, and step 3 is the house hunting step, and this is where truly the rubber meets the road, and we actually get to cruise around and check out some new homes. This is the most intimate part with you, the buyer, and the buyer agent. So you'll actually, spend a lot of time together in person, checking out different homes, and it's really a special time in the whole process. First, you would want to start off by narrowing down your search. So you want to, kind of zero in on location based. So you can go as far as, the county, and then from there you could go into, different sub-neighborhoods or school districts to start your search. Another big thing is also looking at the purchase price. So, Aaron will give you, your approved amount, and then you can go based off of your comfortable amount, and we can start searching for homes in that price range that, caters to your needs. And then once we start finding some properties that, actually look appealing to you, they caught your eye, they have everything you want on their wish list, then, we'll communicate back and forth and get those properties scheduled and set up a time to go see them. Typically, we would request a 24-hour notice before showing a property, just so, we can get everything scheduled in a decent amount of time, as well as giving the seller, ample notice so they can, schedule that and be away from the property during the showings. Today's market is a little bit different. So properties are going fast. Inventory is extremely low. So if you see a house when you wake up at 8 a.m., sometimes you have to get out there and take a look at it before noon, just so you're able to get through the door and submit an offer on it. Generally, properties last 1 to 4 days on the market. If it's really priced well and in a good, desirable area. Today, if it's priced right and it's, been coming soon for a week, people are submitting offers before you actually even step foot in the door. So you definitely got to, play the game a little bit as far as setting up showings and viewing properties in that aspect.
Yeah. Everybody asks us what kind of market it is, if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. And we always answer, it's neither. It's a skill-based market. The skilled agent wins the game. So we make sure that our buyers win by presenting the best offer. And sometimes that is an offer that on a house that they haven't gone inside. But we make sure they have the proper data and can make the best decision. We won many, many homes in a market where buyers are competing against 19, 20 offers, where they can actually move into a home successfully and not overpay and not feel like they're in a competition every minute or writing 30 offers. And those are the things we'll talk to you each one-on-one and what you feel comfortable about. And I always go back to it's your journey. It's about what you feel comfortable with. And it is also about the location you're looking into. I know Prince George's County, it's a very difficult area. I know Daryl has been working with a buyer. And it's a tight market there. I mean, every house has a certain price point up to, we're not talking like low 200s. We're talking up to 400,000 to 500,000, 15, 20 offers on them. So it is a skill-based market. So understanding your needs and understanding the process, and that's why we do these things. We're trying to educate you. And then we go from here to a buyer consult, and we'll just find out what you're comfortable with. Helps us succeed at the end of the day. Because we want you to be the one that wins.
Do you have metrics on how long it takes on average for your clients who start the hunting process? How long it takes, between you guys start showing houses and they actually select the house and proffer a bid on average?
Yes. So we generally book a buyer consultation. We introduce Aaron at the buyer consultation, or you meet with him prior to. That buyer consultation takes about 45 minutes. Following the buyer consultation, as long as we have your approval and all the paperwork signed, we create you an individual card. And then you're looking at properties that week. It's a really seamless process. We've been doing this for about 16 years now, and we just want to take care of you in your journey. We don't just throw you out in a car because we feel like that does not do you service.
I guess the question is, so let's say you took me through that process. I got my card. I'm ready to start looking at homes.
Yes.
On average, how long does it take before one of your clients selects a home? Does it take a month, 3 months, 2
About
weeks?
15 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, about 15 days.
And this vary greatly on, the type of buyer and their needs. So if they're, if they're in a rental and their lease expires next month, then of course they typically move a little bit faster in a selection process.
Sure.
Somebody who, has a home, they're going to sell it and then buy another one, they typically go a little bit longer. But I would typically say the average buyer that we represent looks at pretty much just what's on your screen, 7 to 10 homes before they actually make a decision. So on a normal day when we go out to take a look at some properties, we're seeing about 4 or 5 properties at a time. This is just so that everything doesn't run into one another and you get addresses mixed up on the ones you actually like. Seeing any more than 5 homes, it could be overwhelming. especially if you have 3 or 4 great ones in the mix. You can't really decide which one, is best. So we kind of chop it up to just a few homes at a time, but we are available every day. But we do recommend, typically sticking around 4 or 5 homes unless you really need to, put your foot down and make a decision quickly. So I think 4 to 5, 6 at the most is definitely what you're going to be looking at per day. And again, it depends on your motivation and how fast you want to get moving.
Because we do a VIP buyer questionnaire and we do the buyer consultation on a very high level, we get to know you and your family. So we're not taking you to homes that you do not want to see. We spend a lot of time getting to know you. You're hiring us to be the expert and find you the perfect home. And that's what our job is, to find you the perfect home. Not to spam your email with thousands of homes that you do not want to see. We search daily for the right home, and that's our job.
And when you step in the door, or when you walk through the door, you would know which home feels right to you. It's not our job to persuade you to buy one home or the other. It's going to be based off of you. We're not going to pressure you. We're not going to sell you a home. The home will speak to you. And over time, you will find the right fit.
And that's no matter who you work with. It's the process. It's your process. So someone needs to sit down and guide you through that process.
Okay.
And it's about answering questions and asking questions and answering questions. It's getting to know you on a deeper level.
Okay.
So once we're gone through the house hunting process, we're going to start to talk about making your best offer. And this varies based on the market we're in. So Jeff, you're up.
Thank you. And yep, step 4, making your best offer. So once you do find that house, you want to call home and you want to take the next step and submit an offer. There's a few things that you need to consider, and one is understanding the terms of the offer. So it's not just, hey, I want to offer $300,000 on this house that's listed at $300,000, right? You want to know what's involved in the contract. You're going to have inspections that are involved. You're going to have timelines that are involved. After talking to Aaron, you might want some seller concessions, added into the contract itself. And that's, something that helps you cover closing costs. So those are all typical items that we would negotiate in the terms of the offer. Once we get those terms, kind of sit down and got some feedback in the back, I'm sorry. All right, so not sure who it is.
It's all right, you go ahead.
Okay, all right. So one of the things that you're gonna want is a timeline. Normally, typically, the average real estate contract is gonna be about 45-day close. Aaron is pretty good at what he does. I'm pretty sure he could get it down to 30 days. Sometimes even sooner if needed.
Absolutely.
All right. And also, seller concessions is one of the big ticket items that people are using. In a skill-based market, it is a little bit more difficult, to have an offer accepted when requesting a lot of seller concessions, whether that be, just a couple $100 or, 3% or 3.5%. So that's actually going to be more of a negotiating tactic because, of course, 3% is a large chunk of money that you're requesting from the seller. And timeline. So when it comes down to Daryl sections with home inspection and everything like that, each of those has a timeline involved with it. The same with financing. You'll have, a certain number of days to apply for your financing and have to have a commitment by another set of days. So all of those numbers and days play a factor in writing the offer itself. The second thing we're going to do is actually look at comparable sales. So you see a house on the market, it's listed for $250,000, but you know what? There's 3 other houses in the same neighborhood that sold, a couple weeks ago for $225,000. So that's going to tell me up front that the house listed at $250,000 is a little bit overpriced, and you could probably offer closer to the $225,000 mark. So this is our research that we do, and we do this to make sure that you're not overpaying on a property, that the property will still appraise, and it's a big financial decision on your part. So we do have to do our jobs and actually come up with a good solid price point that we believe the house is actually worth.
Yeah, Aaron prefers that we write offers that appraise.
You can write an offer at whatever you want, but at the end of the day, the home does have to appraise for that value. So we always prefer it when that happens.
Yeah.
Exactly. And some people in today's market are being a little bit wilder, and they're actually bringing money to the table to compensate for the limited inventory, and they're buying properties that are not appraising. And we do not advise that. It's just a poor investment, idea. So we definitely do our homework and make sure that you guys are, financially ready to make that purchase, and it's not going to hurt you 1 year from now or 5 years from now. So we will definitely do our research on that side. Also, there could be contingencies associated with writing the offer. So the seller may, need to buy another house when they sell. So that's something that, it's not necessarily going to fit with our original timelines. We might have to adjust it to cater to the seller a little bit. Or you as a buyer, you might need to sell a home before you can actually buy a house. So those are a couple contingencies that we got to worry about, along with, making sure you get your financing and the house does appraise itself. So those are all contingencies associated with the offer. Once you submit an offer and everything is agreed upon by you, then we submit that offer over to the seller, the listing agent, and they'll discuss on their side. And if they don't accept the offer, then most of the time they'll come back with a counter offer. So they're either countering the terms of the offer or price points or timelines. So there's definitely different factors that they could counter. The one thing that the seller can do that most of the time we don't like it, you don't like it, and we try not to ever have an offer submitted, is a straight out rejection. So if they don't accept the offer, our second best option is a counter offer. So typically with us, you'll get 1 or 2. All right, and then as we're seeing now with the extremely low inventory and the influx of buyers in today's market, we also have the multiple offer scenarios. So this is when it's extremely important to evaluate comparable sales. So we don't want to write an offer too outrageous that the seller knows the house is not going to appraise. We want to come in aggressive. We want to be a competitive offer. So we want to still appraise. We want it to still be a good investment for you, but we got to clean up the offer the best we can so it's the most appealing to the seller. And with that is tightening up timelines. Sometimes the seller wants a quicker settlement than a later settlement. So we can do our research on that side. Types of inspections is a big thing. Is the house being sold as is? Is it, offering home warranties? These are some things that we normally negotiate, but if you're under multiple offers, we got to be a little bit more stricter with, but still get you the most bang for your buck. So those are just a few different types of scenarios. All right, Bevy, you have anything else for step 4?
I do not. Any questions?
No?
If I could add one thing there on step 4, one of the things, and you mentioned the multiple offer scenarios, one of the things that we do working together is as soon as you write an offer, I, as the lender, am calling that listing agent and, saying, hey, I know you just got an offer with our name on it. wanted to let you know I've worked with the buyer. I have their W-2s, their pay stubs, bank statements. I have a whole spiel, blood sample, firstborn kid. I got everything that you need to know that this is a sound offer and the financing is very strong. And that does help in a lot of cases. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, oh, you're the first lender I spoke to and we have 15 different offers. That certainly will strengthen your offer. And that's, part of the benefit that we can provide as well.
That's great.
That's all I had.
So once we get an accepted offer. So let's say we come to terms on that offer we've submitted in, and we're what's called in escrow. The three things you actually pay out of pocket are for your earnest money deposit. So you're preparing the offer that Jeffrey just talked about, and we'll discuss how much money you're going to put down in escrow. That is we generally start out with a $500 first escrow deposit. Sometimes there's a secondary deposit that is required to increase that. The second thing you'll be paying out is your inspection, which Daryl's going to bring out, which is another anywhere from $350 to $550, and then of course Aaron's appraisal fee. Once you go into escrow, that's where that money, that earnest money deposit, I have to always bring it back to the dollars, goes into their escrow account, and it's a non-interest bearing account in your name. That contract then goes to the title company. What is the title of the home? It is the deed. And it can be recorded in different ways. If everybody on the deed is married, it's tenants by the entirety, joint tenants if they're not married. Come on, Aaron, throw me the rest of them at me here.
Tenancy in common, tenancy by entirety.
Yeah, so if Aaron and I bought a property, it would be tenants in common. We bought it together, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and then, obviously if it was a single man, it would just be held as a single man, single woman, and vice versa.
So the title company facilitates all the legal transfer of the property. They do all the deed research, make sure there's no liens against the property, make sure that everything is clean, there's no any kind of outstanding judgments, no one else owns the property. They coordinate all parties and funds and payoffs. And you as the buyer, you get to select your own title company. We will always offer you recommendations based on companies that we work with and make sure that they are in good standing. The thing with title companies is they are receiving a large amount of money, so we want to use a good title company that will not be going out of business when they receive your wire. And then we want to make sure that they do a good job as well. Why are you laughing, Aaron? That's actually happened.
Oh, I know. We can't speak enough on how important a good title company is, because they're, one of those parts of the process that not many people think about, but they do a very, very important service.
I know. Back in 2008, there was a few title companies that just closed their doors and disappeared, and all that money just disappeared with them.
Wow. That is great.
It is. So people don't think about title companies, but they are such an important part. So we offer you some recommendations, and we do as little for you or as much as you want. So if you have somebody you're affiliated with or that you trust, then of course you give us that name. If not, we do set that up for you. Does anybody have any information on title companies or any questions you want to ask?
One more I can throw in on title company. One of the important things that you're going to pay for through the title process is title insurance. And you might ask, what is that? It's essentially, it's going to protect you. So after you close on a house, everyone's happy, you're moving in, and then you get a knock on your door and somebody says, hey, I'm a contractor and I did $5,000 worth of work on this property and I never got paid. I'm going to place a lien against this property. If you did not have that title insurance, you would actually be liable to cover that lien. The title insurance is going to protect you in that event. So it's a one-time charge. It's going to vary on the property itself, but it's usually around $500 or so. It is optional, but it's very, very important, and you're going to see that in your title work all the time. So just wanted to add that piece in there.
All right, we are going to move on to one of the most important parts, is selecting your home inspector.
All right. So, as a home buyer, you're going to want to hire a home inspector. Now, what that home inspector does is he's going to come in, following contract agreements. He's going to come in, he's going to do a thorough evaluation of the property. So what he's going to do, he's going to come in, he's going to basically look at from the roof all the way down to the attic. He's going to make sure that the house is in proper structural conditions. Um, you're going to have, I mean, from the HVAC unit, from the windows, the doors, safety concerns such as like if a house has a deck, make sure that it's in good standards. Your stairs, make sure that the railings are safe and I mean basically it's going to be a breakdown of the entire home. So the key to it is not to make you nervous, to make you scared. Um, the home inspector is doing it. He's doing exactly what he should be doing. At the end of the inspection, he's going to give you a probably he's going to give you a email copy of the entire written report, and so you're going to have that, and any concerns that you have following that, we going to sit down with you and we're going to go over the major concerns, because it's going to be a long report. It could, I'm not saying always, but it could be. And we're going to pick out the ones that are going to be the most concerning, with you moving into that home. So also there's going to be your structural and your mechanic. Um, you're going to have a radon inspection. You're also going to have your chimney inspection, and mold is in there as well. We like we've said previously, home inspections is a time of the essence matter. So we're going to try our best to get it done in a timely manner. Um, the structure, radon, well, not structure, and the structure mold will be done like in a 7-day period. However, the radon and chimney generally takes about 10 days. Following that, you're gonna have like seller will have a 5-day um, time span where he or she has to respond back to any kind of concerns that we would like for them to fix. And they can either reply with a yes or a no. And then in that situation, we can either walk away or we can use those as a way of reading the negotiation. Um, However, if everything goes through and if we do agree to it, you have a 2-day window frame to respond back to the seller. So that's what I had.
Oh, does all of that work the same way with new construction?
It does.
No.
So with new construction though, we do recommend a secondary inspection. So we recommend if you're purchasing new construction, now new construction, they don't like you to have a real estate agent because you don't get inspections. I will tell you some of the longest inspection reports I've gotten has been through new construction. So we recommend you get a framing inspection as well as a home inspection upon completion.
You said framing inspection?
Framing inspection and a home inspection.
Okay.
Because you can still negotiate those repairs. That's why you need an agent to go with you and represent you.
Okay.
Because they will push it through and just shoot right through the process without even getting those re-inspections. They think a county stamp of approval is good to go, but you want someone that represents your interests.
Right.
Are you thinking about new construction?
Yes. I mean, we're open to both, but we're leaning more toward new construction, but
No, I completely agree. I love new construction. Just get someone to represent you through the process.
okay.
So with inspections, after we get that inspection report, the inspection report will only be between 40 to 60 pages. And I promise you, anything and everything will be in there, and there will be a laundry list of items. And I mean laundry list. So don't be afraid. No matter what shows up, everything is fixable. And like I said, some of the worst inspection reports that I have found is new construction.
Okay.
And recently we actually did a inspection report. There was a bad roof, bad septic, bad well. And most people would run away from that. However, they're all fixed. So the buyer is getting a brand new roof, brand new septic, brand new well. So it's about what you can negotiate. So like Daryl said, we have 7 days to do the home and septic report. You also do our home and structural report. We also do additional inspections. You do the well inspection. That takes about 10 days. And then there's the septic report, which takes about 20 days, where they dig it up, they scope it, they flush water through the system, and we check to make sure that works. So if you're looking to buy a house with a septic system, that has to be inspected as well. And after we look at these reports, we create a list that we feel needs to be repaired. And then we come back to you and ask you what you think should be added to that list. So we're already going through it, coming up with what we want to negotiate. And oftentimes our list is greater than the list you want. But our job is always to ask for more, settle for less.
Okay.
And also, inspections themselves are optional. We completely, push you to get inspections, because this is a time where you can really send somebody to the house and with a fine-tooth comb go over every square inch of that house to find out what's wrong with it. And a lot of the issues that the home inspectors find are issues that nobody else would even think of looking at. So you got a well, okay, how do you know if it's working or not? It's flowing water, right? You don't know what you're drinking. So the well inspection will actually do a test on that to figure out what's in the water, if it's safe for consumption or not. Radon, it's a big issue around this area. So if you have a lower level living space or a basement, you're not going to know it's there. So you should get it tested, and it could come back with nothing, or it could come back extremely high. So that's something that you're not aware of, but still has the possibility of being there. Same thing with a septic system. The toilets flush like they should. The dishwasher's draining. The laundry room's working fine, but there could be a crack in a baffle, or there could be something wrong with the septic that you don't know until somebody actually digs it up. So this is definitely your time to make sure everything is, working the way it should, and it doesn't look good. So you can walk in a house and it looks beautiful, fresh paint, fresh floors, fresh outlet plates. But guess what? They got fresh everything. But unless you're, plugging something into every outlet on your showings, there could be half the outlets that aren't working. So it definitely, uncovers a lot of items during that time.
All right. Any additional questions? All right, so we're going to go into the loan application, which goes back to Mr. Aaron.
Yes, so your offer is accepted. That's super exciting. We got the inspection, everything looks good. The loan application is kind of where my team really shines, the processor, the underwriter. We're going to move you through the loan process seamlessly. And it's going to start with, we're going to update any information from the initial conversation that we had, confirm you're still working at the same place, confirm all the numbers are the same. Before you've written an offer on that house, you're going to know to a penny what the payment's going to be, what the interest rate's going to be, what your cash to close is going to be. So you're going to have all of that, but we are going to confirm it. We're going to update any documentation. We're always going to require your most recent 30 days of pay stubs, most recent 60 days of bank statements. And I always just say at the beginning of the process, as you get your pay stubs and your bank statements, just send them to me. That way I'm not bugging you for updated documentation. We're just going to confirm all that information is the same, and then, select what mortgage product, which program is going to be best for you. Are you looking for maybe a grant program with some down payment assistance? Are you, eligible for a VA loan or a USDA loan where you can do 100% financing with no down payment? That's kind of where we're going to have that conversation and determine what the best product is going to be for you. And then, of course, we're going to lock your interest rate. So, if the market turns and rates skyrocket, you're protected. Your rate's going to be locked for a certain number of days. And it's going to be dependent on when your closing date is. So if you have a 30-day contract, we're going to lock your rate for 30 days. If it's 45, we'll lock it for 45, so that you are protected in the event of interest rates changing. And then, of course, we're going to order the appraisal. And so that's, kind of the other side. People say, well, why would I do an inspection if I have an appraisal done? The appraisal is not looking for the type of things that the inspector is. Like Jeff said, checking the outlets and making sure the well is okay. The appraisal is not going to do that. The appraiser is going to go in and confirm the value. So you obviously want the home to appraise at your purchase price, or in some cases even higher, which actually does happen. And that's always a good sign when that happens. You have more equity than you expected buying the house. And then they are going to, in some cases require repairs. These are going to be things that are generally going to be safety hazards. So if there's, any railings missing, they're going to require railings on the steps. Or if there's lead paint, they're going to require that to be removed. They're really looking for things that would protect you as the home buyer. So once we've got all that in, your file is, of course, going to go to the underwriter, and they're going to look at it and say, everything looks great. You're absolutely clean. I'd like to see this, this, and this before we can clear to close the loan. You would send those in. We go back to the underwriter and say, great, you're cleared to close.
Quick question. I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Is there any overlap in the appraisal and the inspection items that are being reviewed? So will potentially are some items that have come up in the inspection that would later on, or that, like you used the example, I think, of a railing.
Right.
How would that work?
Yeah, they could overlap. So yeah, you're usually going to have the inspection before you have the appraisal. And yes, if the railing like that comes up on the inspection, that can be a sign that, yes, this is probably going to come up on the appraisal as well, in which case it is a lender required repair, and it would need to be fixed prior to closing. The inspection contingencies, we are not as concerned with those. We don't require that everything on the inspection is done prior to closing, but on the appraisal we do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. So again, from there, we're kind of going to move you seamlessly into closing, but making sure that all that information is accurate up front, confirming, the loan application is very important. It's going to save you a lot of headache down the line. Any other questions on that?
Well, you just said that everything on the appraisal is done before closing, but not the inspection. So what happened to those items on the inspection list that are not cared for before closing?
So that's where Daryl had mentioned you have the negotiation and you have that period to negotiate for the inspection. And so that would happen at that time.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
All right.
So once we get through the pre-approval, the mortgage, we've gotten under contract, we've gotten through the inspections, we've negotiated the inspections, we've gotten the repairs done, Aaron's gotten us our final loan approval, and we're walking towards closing. And we're going to do what's called our final walkthrough. We're going to do this. Go ahead. Jeffrey, want to bring us through?
So once we get closer to the end of, the process, and right before Aaron gives you to clear to close, or, sometimes around the same time we get to clear to close, we're going to do a final walkthrough. And in this walkthrough, it's going to be pretty much your last chance to see the home before the big purchase day. So before you, sign everything, with the title company, all the loan paperwork, everything, we're going to walk through the property one last time. During this time, we use it to make sure that all of the requested repairs have been completed. Sometimes if there's a repair that needs a re-inspect, so say there's a bacteria in the well, we would have to get that retested, and that's not something that we can physically see during a walkthrough. So we would make sure we have, all the receipts in hand from the re-inspect and everything has passed, everything is good to go. What we're going to do in the walkthrough is any items that, were repaired that we could physically check, we're going to check at that time, as well as, just your time to walk through the home. You might want to get some last minute measurements, and then making sure the home is actually in the same condition, if not better, than the time we went under contract. So for an example, if, we walked through a house today, we liked what we saw, we wrote the contract, you had some really pretty sparkly light fixtures, and then 45 days, 30 days from now, we're doing a final walkthrough, and for some reason, those little sparkly light fixtures aren't there. That's a fixture to the property that belongs to remain at that property. So that would be something that we would see, we would rectify with the seller and the listing agent to get that returned to the same status it was when you walked through and when you went under contract. Also, I think we failed to mention in the contract side of everything, you have an exclusion and inclusion list in the contract. So things like, your stove and your oven, your washing machine, your dryer, your refrigerator, big appliances. We make sure that these items are in the contract and that they will stay with the property. If we do our final walkthrough and those items are no longer in the property, then that gives us a couple days to reach out and get those items returned. So people think that, you're buying property, you're strictly buying the house. However, you're actually buying what's in the contract itself as well. So you can't strip the property of everything. It has to be sold with what's in the contract. And that's pretty much it. The final walkthrough, most of the time, between 3 and 5 days prior to closing. If you guys do it a little bit further away from closing, what I do personally is the day of settlement, I go back to the property just to make sure nothing has changed in that 1 or 2 days since you did your final walkthrough. So we're very thorough as far as what you get is what you see. That's all I had for the final walkthrough. Bevia, do you have anything else for that?
I don't. That's the opportunity also for you to take some measurements while you're there if you don't get them at your home inspection for curtains and things like that, some final pictures. We will be taking your picture while you're there. We love taking pictures of you, our stalkers. All right. Any questions about the final walkthrough or any process up to that point?
No.
Okay. All right, everybody's quiet today. So this is our favorite part. This is closing. This is when you become a homeowner.
All right. So it's time for celebration, time for good times. And that's step 8, that settlement, the big closing day. So what's gonna happen is 3 days prior to the closing day, you as the buyer, you're gonna receive your closing disclosure. There's going to be something that you'll receive in your email, basically giving you the clear that hey, you are ready to go, and we'll see you at closing. There are things that you would need to bring to the closing table, and there's going to be a certified check for your closing costs and down payment, and you're going to make that check is going to be made payable to you yourself, and you're going to endorse it to the title company at closing. Another thing that you're going to need is an insurance binder and pay receipt. You're also going to need your photo ID, of course, and as well as your social security number. Also, you would need to bring your addresses, your previous addresses for the past 10 years. You're going to need that. So also, another big thing, hey, you're gonna want to own it. You're gonna want to just be happy and be joyous that hey, now you're gonna be a homeowner. So another key thing is the transfer of titles. First step is going to be the delivery of the buyer funds. And this is going to be a check or a wire provided by your lender, which would be Aaron, or anyone of choice.
Yeah, whatever money
the loan.
Yes.
Yep.
And then we actually call them the night. Let them know that we also call you the night before to go over if you have to bring any funds to the table.
Yes.
Okay. And then the big thing is the delivery of your deed. So the deed is going to be like Beverly said, it's a document that's going to transfer ownership of real estate. The deed names the seller and the buyer, gives you legal description of the property, and contains the notarized signatures of the seller as well as the witnesses. So, ready to sign. And also, at the end of closing, the deed will be taken, recorded at the county clerk's office. So you'll receive that packet in the mail. I forgot what's the time frame. Beverly, what's the time frame normally?
It varies right now because of what's going on with COVID. Normally it takes about 30 days, but I think they're taking 45 to 60.
Yeah.
And so so just come on in that day and be ready to sign. Question.
So closing is a special day, no stress. Aaron and the title company will give you your numbers a couple days before, so there's no day of surprises.
Yeah,
You get that day before call from us. We will guide you through the process. The biggest things you remember is you have to bring your ID.
And make sure it's a valid ID, not expired.
Yeah, that has happened so many times.
Yes.
You cannot believe how many people have come to closing with a expired ID.
Yeah, that's no fun. And it is more difficult with everything going on with COVID. So that's something you want to be cognizant of. Maybe you have a passport you can use. So that's something, a conversation you do want to have up front. And I did want to just mention to that closing disclosure. So yeah, you're going to get a document that's going to have all the final numbers of your loan at least 3 business days prior to closing. Usually it's more. And I'm going to call you to go through all of that. So any questions that you have, but you're going to know exactly where every single penny through the transaction is going.
Wonderful. So let's keep things going here. Aaron,
Yes.
hold on, sorry.
No,
I
yeah,
have no
you're
idea, but now let's keep things smooth. So I will tell you the things that can go wrong in the process is because we guide you through every step, and we make sure that, and it's your journey, but we make sure that we try to keep you on the path. Things that can cause you to come off path are if you quit your job. or if you have a job change. Or you decide that you want to take the gold out of the wall in your bedroom or all that money.
Say cash is a 4-letter word in our business.
It is.
It has to be seasoned.
We go buy that new Lexus.
Yeah. Wait to buy the Ferrari till after you close.
Or we decide, we want to go open that new furniture account. This actually happens a lot. So we go find this perfect house. And you're sitting at home that following Saturday and you see the Ashley Furniture sale. And then they go open that Ashley Furniture credit card and put all the furniture on it.
Mhm.
And then they call and tell me, hey, I just bought furniture. And I'm like, go back and return it. Close that account. And I'm extending settlement by 20 days. And they're mad at me. Right? Aaron, it happens.
Oh, it happens a
Yeah.
lot. It happens a lot.
Yeah,
So,
So that's a no-no. We can't do that.
Big no-no. We want you to be set up for success. You can have all that fun and do all that the day of settlement, as long as it's done after you close.
Go and take pictures, create a Pinterest account, all of that great stuff. And go measure your furniture. Probably should measure it because if you'd be like me and Jeff, we have a couch that's a little bit too big for our house. That's what he gets when he sends me out shopping without him. I don't measure anything. But yes, go measure, take pictures, but don't open accounts. No major purchases. Don't go buy timeshares, things like that, because it does show up.
Yes.
And please don't spend your down payment.
Yeah, don't do
And
that.
if you do need a down payment, Mr. Aaron Jacobson has many down payment assistance programs available to you, and he can review those on your one-on-one.
Absolutely. There's tons of options. In a lot of cases, people think, well, I don't have the cash to buy a house right now. And then we have a conversation and then they realize, wow, I'm actually more than prepared to buy a house. And so be happy to have that conversation with you.
Okay.
So what kind of questions do we have? Love to hear from everyone.
Yeah, this is probably a question later on regarding lending or qualifications.
Sure.
But are there some special considerations for a company owner versus someone who's on salary?
Versus someone who, I'm sorry, what was the second part?
Who's on salary?
Versus
Yeah.
a
Right.
company owner.
So it's definitely something you will want to be prepared of. Just a couple of the quick things that you'll want to be cognizant of. We're going to require at least 2 years of tax returns. In some cases, 3, depending on the program that you're using. We're generally going to average the most recent 2 years. And the big one is we're going to qualify on the net income on the business, not the gross. So that's something that you want to be conscious of as well. I understand in a lot of cases as a business owner, a lot of, people you're writing off as much as you can because why wouldn't you? Just know that if you are writing that off, that's in a lot of cases income that we cannot use. But we on the one-on-one, I can have a more, personalized conversation with you on your specific situation.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. What other questions do you guys have?
I don't have any this time.
Mr. Carter, do you have any questions? Mrs. Santos? We're so excited you guys were here today.
So what should be our next steps in terms of communicating with you?
Well, we can schedule a private session just with you guys if you have some availability.
Oh, you want to touch base?
The next step is to book a buyer consultation.
You want to touch base like Friday?
And it's by Zoom just like this.
Okay.
So you don't even have to leave your home.
Right. So what we'll do is we're going to touch base with you. We got your contact information here
Yes.
on Friday, and then we'll schedule our next touch point.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
This has been great, very informative. Appreciate it. Very well presented. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Yep. Thank you all for coming. And and
Yeah.
viewing our seminar.
All right. Have a
So
good day.
I will be emailing you out a thank you as well as a copy of our guide to buy in your home as well tomorrow to everyone.
Okay.
And then our book me link. So our book me link will allow you to book your buyer consultation appointment there, or you can of course just call us or text us.
Great. All right. Appreciate you. Take care.
Appreciate you guys.
All
Thank
right.
you so much
Have a
for
good night.
joining us this evening.
Thank
We
you.
so appreciate you and we're so honored to be a part of each of your journeys.
Thank you so much.
All right.